Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, beautiful beauties. I do hope that people watching had a chance to take a look at the posts that I'd put up on Facebook and Twitter, which was with relevance to what I'm going to be talking about tonight. I hope everybody's well, and I am certainly ready to spill the beans on how I managed to stop traffic more than once as well in Oxford Circus, which was going back quite a few years ago now. For anyone who may remember the show, which was not the show, excuse me, the movie, which was in this country called Breakdance. There was a guy who, sadly, we recently lost him on the 29th of December of 2020, which was Shabadoo. And I got really intrigued by the breakdancing. And obviously, as I'd spoken about previously, and we'll speak about again, I was quite a jumping bean. So I took to the idea when I'd seen this movie. It was quite inspirational, and it was just so new and so real. I wanted to sort of try and have a go at that. So I was very much inspired, and it's a great loss to us that we lost him. I know it was quite a shock at the time because it did seem that he was recovering. Anyway, in honour of that man, I will tell this story because it kind of springs from that. I became sort of interested. I used to go to a school called Turnford School, which I've got quite a few friends who follow me from Turnford still, so I'm very blessed for that. And we used to have a thing called club, where we would go and we would dance to the latest music. There was an opportunity to play pool and snooker, another thing that I'm very keenly interested in. And that was where I first of all was introduced to this piece of lino on the floor. And it kind of like, I was like, oh wow, this is, it was kind of similar to what I'd seen in the movie. It all felt really totally cool. And I can remember that I was pulled in as they were trying to sort of replicate the same sort of ethos of the movie, as you do when you're younger. And yes, I was applauded for all of my efforts and did all of these sorts of moves that I picked up. And I just I carried on doing that in various different ways and forms. And I got very interested in robotics. So this is where my story starts with relevance to Oxford Circus. I was looking through for various different jobs. It was not long after I'd done my first professional appointment, which was at the Cheltenham Everyman Theatre, where I was in the show The Wizard of Oz. And so I was sort of looking around for various different things, and this audition was there, and it was for being a live mannequin. And I was like, whoa, that sounds really good. I'm going to have a look at this. I'm going to see, what this means, what it's all about. So I went along, and for those of you who know Oxford Circus, Snob was opposite one of the exits of the tube. So I could kind of see it, and I was like, oh, it looks quite good, So I went to speak to the people there that were looking to employ somebody with relevance to fulfilling this idea. It was a gimmick, and it just all came together. I was like, oh yes, I definitely would love to do this, and they just immediately said, we want to book you. So it was lovely. I could choose all of the clothes from all of the fashions there. And initially, when the role started, I was there, I think, for about 2 months, something like that. Might have been a bit longer. And I was joined later. We managed to get a guy, his name was TJ, on board. And it was really good because it needed sort of something extra. Everybody sort of got used to me being in there. So they wanted to introduce a sort of further gimmick to the gimmick. But anyway, initially, me going into the window and sort of standing initially very still. I wanted to look like I was a mannequin, you know, and would have this sort of look and hands very sort of, and you kind of had to get in the mindset, you know. And people really did believe that I was a mannequin. And it was it was initially really quite hilarious to me. And so one of the things that I had to first do was to make sure, you know, that I could hold on to it. But there were sort of more and more sort of people coming when this was initially on the first time that I did it, and there were more and more people coming up to the shop window and thinking, oh my gosh, this is quite something. And literally it was just as deep from the front right the way to the back to where the road started. So I carried on doing my thing and sort of remaining within the mannequin character. And it was really crazy. So I had a call from the back and they said, you're going to have to come in for a bit because, you know, they've got a bit of an issue with the situation on the pavement. So I was sort of like, oh, okay. So I kind of went round to the back and waited for a bit. And in that duration of time, they said, why don't you come onto the shop floor, you know, so that it brings people into the shop. So I was like, cool for that. Yeah, that's fine. So I kind of tucked myself away. You've probably seen it on some of these shows that they sort of show recordings where people have jumped out, things like in Covent Garden and so forth. And this was way before that. This was sort of 1993. I left drama school in 92, so it's way before that. And as it was sort of starting to develop a niche. And so I was just, you know, I had a pair of sunglasses on in the shop, I remember, and I would work with sometimes sunglasses and with sometimes not. I had I don't know how, but I developed this ability to keep my eyes open for a really long time. So I'm sort of tucked away in the corner, wearing a really nice outfit, actually. It was really good. I did get to take one of the outfits home, I seem to recall, and the shoes were really cool, but I never got to take those home. But anyway, I didn't argue. And so I'm tucked away, and nobody really took very much notice initially. I think probably those people that had seen me tuck myself away knew, oh, well, that's just a person. But then when I'd been there for a little while, there was it was like there was three sort of teenagers, I'd say, and they kind of came up, and it was like I really was just a mannequin. There was no reference to me being human whatsoever. So I'm holding tight onto this you know, position that I'd got myself in, and they were discussing how they might buy this particular outfit, which was of great interest to the manager. She was like, this is crazy. So I kind of held on to it and let them chat, and they were sort of even, you know, touching the cloth of the clothes that I was wearing, and I just sprang forward like this. Well, you've never heard squeals like it and screams. I literally had to come straight out of this character, and I said, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I was laughing so much. It was a bit cruel, but they found it funny as well, fortunately. And so that was sort of like initially the sort of getting used to it in the day. But what had happened, I used to have to go out in sort of sections of time. So I'd gone back out into the window and sort of positioned myself. And the tourist buses that would drive past with the open tops actually stopped to look at what it was that I was doing. And I was like, oh, wow. So not only were the people stopping the movement from watching what I was doing, it stopped the traffic. So I'm sort of, you know, carrying on. I just loved they had sort of various different songs that would play. And there was the Invisible Touch by Phil Collins that just seemed to really work well with what I was doing. And so I'm, you know, really in the moment. And then suddenly I was very aware that I could hear, you kind of get a feeling when there's something else behind you, and I could hear the store manager, but alongside her were two police officers. And I was like, wait, what? So I kind of walked in and I was like, oh, hello, you know, in my sort of small sheepish way. I'm only 5'2", so I was kind of looking up at these tall police officers, trying to understand what it was that was going on. I had no idea. And they basically were saying that if I continued, that they could arrest me. And I looked at the manager. I was like, "What is this? Not what? Is this not been cleared? Is this not been, you know, in some way made okay?" So that was anyway. That was that situation. They managed to get the situation, but it did happen again, and they did come back again. And that was TJ was with me then, because I used to have to do very small stints, but obviously when there was the interest of another person, and TJ was really tall, and it was just, it worked. I don't know, but there's some pictures that I've put onto my Twitter, which you can now see. It's linked to this, and on my Facebook, if anybody's friends with me on Facebook. But I will be putting up my page that's been created. My website is ready to go live as well. So I'll sort of make an effort to get that sorted out. There's lots of photographs and things on there, so you'll be able to see what it is that that I'm talking about. But it was a fiercely fantastic time, quite crazy. But I can remember that I'd gone. I know it was around the same sort of time when I auditioned for the show Cats that I was doing it, and I remember that was kind of what cut the contract with Snob short. And in the process of that time, Topshop, which was just up the road, which was it's huge. That's still there, I believe. Topshop. I'm not quite sure now with all of this that's happened, but they were trying to sort of get me to go and work with them in there. But getting the Cats audition and actually being successful and going on to do Cats later on, that sort of put bay to that. So it was very much a crazy time. I don't think I mentioned it very much because it brings up all sorts of ideas when you tell people that you worked in a shop window in London, and not really always what I was actually doing would spring to mind. So yes, it was a situation that unless I was sitting having a chat with somebody, I wasn't really forthcoming. But we were in. Also, they had a photographer come in. Now there was a bit of a hoo-ha about that as well, from Time Out magazine, and I believe there was an article that they did with regards to it, and it generated quite a lot of interest as well there. But yeah, it was crazy times, and I can remember when there would be times where I'd feel quite tired, so I'd sort of find a position and just sort of stay there, and you could actually watch people's mouths having a discussion as to whether I was real or not, and that is the absolute truth. So, you know, hey, that was quite good. I was quite happy with that. You know, that means I was doing quite well. So that was all sort of bounced off of the inspirations with regards to literally a movie, if you like, which is something I'm really keen to sort of. I've always wanted to inspire people by those things that they see, because sometimes they, you know, youngsters, and I've worked in schools as well, and with relevance to that, youngsters sort of see it as unreachable. I think less so now, but you know, I've always said, you know, if you want to do it, go for it. And that was just all inspired from seeing one movie, which obviously went on to inspire a whole generation, really. So that's something that I'm keen to see lots more of. Another thing I'd like to literally just touch upon today, again, it won't be a long cast today, but I'd like to talk about my regime for fitness. Some of you, again, will know with regards to my Exerance process, and I've helped quite a few people find their way to sort of a healthier balance with regards to eating and exercise, and also with regards to supplements as well. But that's something, that's a matter that I'll kind of touch on, but it will only be with relevance to if anybody raises any questions, because it's for me, I think one of the references that I make with regards to my own process is that you've got your own personal body science. and we're all made up of different things. So therefore, I do get quite sort of upset with regards when you hear these sweeping statements of some saying these things don't work, when actually I use my own personal studies with relevance to me. So if ever anybody is asking me with regards to vitamins and supplements that I take, I'm very clear. This will work for me because I've done this and X, Y, and Z that goes with it. So it isn't just a factor of, well, I'll take a pill and it'll be okay. There's so many other things, inferences with regards to good health. And with that sort of in question, if anyone has anything that they'd like to bring to me, obviously you could ask questions on this forum, but you've also got now the opportunity to, you could raise it on Twitter with me, which is connected. You'll see the details with that, with this feed. So I'm very, like tonight, say for example, before I came on to do my test before coming on air, I ran a very quick 3K because I was a bit late jumping on, and then went through my process of 7 movements with regards to lifting weights and sort of exercises that I promote, sort of various different areas of my body that I'm working on. So I'll sort of like, I like to go from head to toe and do a full workout each time if I can. But if I want to concentrate on tummy or on arms, there's various different things, different ways that that can be approached. And that all comes really from, again, the experience of training and so forth that I've had. Another thing that I'll be doing here will be some singing. I know that some people have seen my videos and so forth that I've posted. This sound equipment here, I've done some photographs tonight, so I'll post those up on my Facebook page with regards to, so you can see the difference of equipment that we're using. And I want to try and bring you, as I said, some new music. I would like to bring you some of the music that I've sang and enjoyed in the past as well. And I'll continue to post up videos on my personal Facebook page. And as I said, I'm striving to get sort of a page that everybody can connect with reference to the channel. There's a couple of bands that I'm going to be promoting as well, but I want to make sure that all of the details that I've got are clear. And I'm going to be playing you some music from them, some fresh music, so that, we get to hear in this situation that we're in at the moment. We need inspiration, we need lifting, we need uplift, we need things that are going to, set our minds thinking and enjoying our creativeness that lives within us. And it does live within us. Please remember that. Hope. We must stay hopeful. So on that note, I'm going to show you one last thing. And I've got my earpieces here. Another thing that we'll be sharing, and if anyone is up for any sorts of discussions with regards to art, this is one of my pieces. I don't know whether you can get a good view of that there. There you go. Yeah. That's one of my Prince inspiration pieces of art. And anyone who takes a close look will see the various different song titles and so forth in there. And that really brings me to my final little close, which is, again, to offer a little light and offer a little way of making your day a bit brighter. And that's to connect with your creativeness again. Pick up a pen and a piece of paper and do some drawing and see what you come up with. It does often really soothe, and with regards to that, I think that it's very relevant in understanding how the arts must not be left out in the cold. I do think they've taken a beating with regards to this virus. I think where we're at now is everybody's sort of sadness, but we need to sort of consider how we, when we start to make a way forward, how we reconnect and how we support those people in the arts, because we can't lose them. We can't lose shows. We can't lose festivals. We can't lose the bands. We you know, there's a lot there. Artists themselves are obviously able, with regards to painting, drawing, are probably, you know, drawing on all of the resources of what's been created here with this situation. And I'd just like to inspire the idea that everybody does that. This story will need to be told one day. And who better to tell it than us? And as absolutely devastating as it is as creatives, that's something that we all connect with. We're all extrasensory. We're all sort of heightened with regards to emotions and the sadnesses. I watched part of the news, which I do avoid it, but I watched the part of the news last night when they were showing the people who have died, and with relevance to them being health workers and doctors and teachers. And we need to tell that story. We need to connect with how that actually is making people feel now. And we need to put our arms sort of virtually around each other and stay human in the situation. We need to keep to the guidelines with reference to looking after each other, which is hard, because humans, we're not meant to do that. We're not meant to stay separate from each other. So just really, you know, draw something from it so that we can move this in reference to when it's all over, looking past it and telling the stories. And in there somewhere lies hope. So I'm going to close it for there. I'm going to go off for another run in a bit, because I've only done 3K. I do like to do 5. I'm fortunate that I've got my own home gym, so I'll try and get the cameras up there and we can have a look at what it is that I do there as well. But there's lots of things that we can do to stay connected, and this is one of my ways that I can stay connected to people. And if it offers a little bright light anywhere, then that's all to the good. So it would be lovely if that is the case. Let me know. I'll wish you a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, day, wherever you are in the world, and stay focused. Stay in your lane, stay clean, stay masked, and keep your space. Take care. Lots of love.